Hey everybody, Anish Majumdar here, career coach to the fiercely ambitious. Back at you today with an important video that drives people up the wall. Why are employers ghosting me? And boy oh boy, this sucks at every stage of the hiring process. It sucks when you find a company that's doing interesting work, you put yourself into the running for it, and you don't hear anything back, whether it's early, but especially if you've already had more than one interview. Maybe you've had 2 or 3. We've heard people have as much as 7 to 10 interviews, and then employers feeling comfortable ghosting on them. So what's going on here? And how can you, most importantly, minimize that as much as possible? Look, there's always going to be some bad apples out there. And, some companies that are so toxic that, that ghosting element will maybe come up. If that happens and you've applied what I'm about to teach you here, let them go. Consider yourself early warning. Would you rather know now, early in the stage, or would you rather know 1 year into it or 6 months into it that, oh my God, you walked into a rat's nest, and you have no way to go out, right? But by and large, all right, and this is not information that people are sharing out there, and it's important that you understand this. By and large, if employers ghost on you, it has as much to do with the signals that you have or have not sent out as it does who they are and how they operate. In other words, whether you have that appreciation for it right now or not, understand that a big part of this is part of what you've done. You have a role to play here. And when people feel comfortable doing that, when people feel comfortable treating you like a number on a board as opposed to a human being who can help them immeasurably, the first place we need to start is what can we change about what we're doing? What can we do differently to make sure that this doesn't rear its head? And there are 3 big ones here. Okay? And if you're a proud job seeker, you love the simplicity of putting your resume out there and waiting around. I don't know who does, but if you're someone who loves getting automatically rejected by the ATS systems, if you're someone who loves going into, quite frankly, stupid interviews with HR and recruiters who are so fear-based, they don't know about you, they don't care to know about you, and you have to somehow make it happen. If you love that, then you're probably not going to like what I have to tell you, okay? But if you're not that, you're probably really going to take to this like water to a drowning man, okay? So here's the first one. And I want you to write this down. And I want you to make changes based on it. Because it's going to have a direct impact on not just reducing ghosting, but making sure most of the conversations you are having are as productive and accountable as they can possibly be. And that's what we want, isn't it? You're investing time, you're preparing, you're giving your best. You want to make sure that that is reciprocated. If not, why are we doing this, right? So first one. And I want you to write this down. Are you coming across as a job seeker or an expert in your own right? If you decide to come across as a job seeker, if you decide to put in, for example, the LinkedIn open to work banner on your picture, and you call yourself unemployed or in transition and looking for your next opportunity, and every conversation you have with an employer is geared towards, hey, I can help. Hey, I'm perfect. Hey, hire me. Please, God, hire me. Well, that's a little bit like in my days as an actor in my early 20s, when I had nothing but that. Anyone could say no to me at any time, and they didn't even feel bad for it because, look, this guy's, he's knocking on doors. That's what he does. We close this door, he'll just move on, he'll get the message, right? If I'm an expert who's making a change happen regardless, like for example, there's a big difference between, let's say a marketing director who's saying open to work and hire me and everything will fit, and you can tell him, you can see that he or she is jumping through whatever hoops that he or she needs to position themselves as the perfect way. There's a difference between that and a marketing expert who, especially from when the pandemic started to now, has been advising business leaders on how they can steer clear of pitfalls, how they can move forward, how they can connect and engage with customers in a higher ROI, digital first way, and he's been doing that consistently from here until now. Right? That's an expert. That's someone who's making a change happen before you ever got involved. And that inspires something very powerful in employers and human beings alike. We want someone who's in demand. right? This is true in relationships as well. Well, if you're going on a first date with someone, would you rather have someone who's like, whatever you want, I'm perfect, yeah, you're perfect, amazing. It sounds good on paper, but what do we really want? Don't we want someone who we're like, man, wow, I'm so lucky to be out on a date with this person, you know? I mean, this person must be dating all over the place. Like, what a catch, you know? Like, you want to be a part of something that's already going on. And so, first off, everything in your brand, there should not be a single word there that says, I'm looking for a job, I'm in transition, I'm between jobs. It should all be towards what is the highest level impact of what you do and how are you moving things forward. Other things you can do. Videos, engagement on LinkedIn, looking at the intersection between what you do and broad interest, coming up with posts is a great way to demonstrate momentum and expertise. A great way to say, look, I've got my own voice, I've got my own thing in play there, right? Volunteer work, right? Pro bono work, consulting work. If you've got that business contact who you know has been wanting to work with you for a while, and you're like, no, I need a full-time job. Wait a minute, circle back to that. Get that going, get that momentum going so that you're active, you can actually draw on real experiences in that room, and you can create and foster that impression that they are catching and just becoming aware of an expert right now. They're not waiting around for a job seeker, okay? So question number one has to be, are you coming across as a job seeker or an expert in your own right? If it is a job seeker, you've got to make that transition. And the more effectively you make that transition, the more seriously employers will treat you. They will look at you as one of one. They will look at you as someone who is bringing something to the table that they cannot just easily say no to. And that, by extension, will lower incidences of things like ghosting. Okay? Number two, have you made your expectations and priorities clear? Guys, there is and should not be ever a situation where you go into a call, you go into a meeting or an interview, and you don't know what we're going to be discussing, why we're going to be discussing it. In other words, what's the opportunity, what's the pain that needs to be solved, and what are the next steps going to be after. You know, you go in to that first interview, let's say, have you made it clear what your ultimate impact is? Have you made it clear what your why is? Have you made it clear what's important to success, what's not important to success? How clearly have you stood for something beyond yourself in all of these engagements? Or have you been passively waiting? If you're passively waiting, you are sending a low value, low leverage signal. Which means that if I know that the only time I'm going to jump on with you, you're going to be quiet and meek and you're not going to have any judgment, no urgency there, then that's a problem. Then I'm going to treat you like that. I'm going to treat you like maybe someone who, it's like, whatever, I'll get around to her or him when I get around to him. You know? You've got to make clear what's important to you, what your priorities are, what's right, what's wrong. And if they are saying, great, we want to follow up with you, let's say, come in for a follow-up interview next week, don't get off that phone or send that follow-up email, let's say, until you know, great, I want to make sure that you get all the value as possible there. In our previous engagement, we spoke about and we identified the following major areas of concern. What are we going to be discussing differently in this next one so I can give you what you are looking for here? Also, what are the next steps going to be in terms of hiring? How close are you guys right now? You know, I'm right now in the middle of dialoguing with several companies. This looks like it's going to be moving forward in the next 2 weeks. I want to make sure, just for planning purposes, that we are on that right track and I can give you the best of what I can give you here. Let me know what your answers are here and we can proceed with scheduling that call. You don't have to go that far, but there always has to be an expectation that if I'm taking valuable time out of your life, away from your family, your loved ones, there's got to be accountability on both sides. So if you've been one-sided with that, now is the time to stop that. It is better that you find out by asking a legitimate follow-up question and realizing, no, we're not interested in sharing that with the candidate. It's better that you find out now, because that company will never treat you fairly post-offer. It's better that you discount the losers first so you can spend most of your attention on that which is valuable. And if by discounting them you're left with nothing, guess what? Get that universe going again, right? You know what your priorities should be. But you shouldn't be afraid to do that. Okay, someone who stands for nothing will get taken in by everything, and it's true in hiring as well. You know, paint a very clear picture not only of this way of addressing it is the right way, but also paint a picture of what these competitors, these people who are in your space who are getting it wrong, make it very clear what that is as well, so that they understand that there is a give and a take here, okay? One final thing I'm going to say is, are you comfortable with saying no? You know, one of the most effective things you can do going into any hiring situation is borrow a lesson from the Stoics and say to yourself, you know what? This is not going to happen. It's not going to happen. There's 50 other things that I'm not aware of that could tank this. Maybe they're going to hire internally. Who knows? I'm not going to get this. That's not happening. So I can take myself off the hook for that. But I have an hour to spend with this person. How am I going to make it valuable? Right? You've got to be free with saying no to that which needs to be said no to. If someone calls you at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, hey, can you chat for an hour? No, you can't. You can look at it and say, okay, great. Let me take a look at my schedule. I can't do it today. I'm just about to go into a meeting tomorrow. And that doesn't matter if you have a meeting or not. This is about setting the right expectations. Your time is valuable. We need to show up with a plan in hand in order to get that value. Otherwise, it's a waste of time. Otherwise, what? It's a coffee klatch, basically. We can just chat. And obviously, what are you sending? You're unemployed and waiting. Never, right? So I can fit you in tomorrow at 2, if that works. What are we going to be talking about? What are the top 2 or 3 areas that you want to cover here? Okay, awesome. Are there any concerns that have popped up before this point that I can lend some clarity on? Any weak points? Anything that I could shed some light on there? Okay. So that work gap there, sure. Yeah, we'll talk about that as well. Okay, awesome. I'll see you at 2. Okay, awesome. So you're saying no to the call now, but a yes later, assuming you get the intelligence on what's going to be talked about, what are the next steps going to be, as well as anything else that you need, right? It is very, very important that you do that. If you are in a meeting and they are telling you something that is not going to work, or or they're laying out something that you know is going to be at loggerheads if you actually start this job, a very powerful thing is to treat the interview like day one. Like, this is your day one at this company. You accepted it sight unseen, and what you're finding out are the key indicators of whether or not you're going to be successful, right? So if you treat that as a day one, are you comfortable with hearing the word no? You know, are you comfortable with saying, hey, I don't believe that you should do that. I think that's a mistake. I don't think that we should stretch this out over 4 to 5 weeks of a lackadaisical hiring process, because you're not in a 4 to 5 week situation. This has been going on the entire year. If this is not addressed now, within the next 1 or 2 weeks, or at least the ball is rolling meaningfully on that, then we're going to be dealing with an infinitely harder situation by the time it gets around. So I'm going to make the changes in my schedule necessary so we can do that. But I need to make sure that there's commitment here, right? You always, always, always be willing to walk away, okay? No matter what. Everything until the offer that works for you is going to be a no anyway. So you may as well hear it early, scrap out the chaff so you can go for the wheat, right? You can go for that which is truly important. Never be afraid to say no. Never. And one of the clearest ways that you can stand up for yourself is saying no to things that have to do with the work, the impact, and where you're going. Make it clear what you stand for, what you don't stand for. Make it clear that you are an expert, not a job seeker in transition, right? You can even add in a consulting role between the period that you've been unemployed, because guess what? The conversations that you're having, if you're not just inertly sitting around sending over your resume, but you come in there prepared with questions to ask, intelligence to gather, you are adding value. You are doing that. Just like I'm adding value, hopefully, through you watching this thing. You're not a one-on-one client of mine, but hopefully you're getting that value, right? Use that stuff. Use that perception, okay? All of this together is going to dramatically decrease incidences of employer ghosting, as well as other types of employee bad behavior. And if you need help with things like coming across like an expert, if you need help with making sure that you are getting the most out of every piece of this, I encourage you to go over to helloanish.com right now, HELLOANISH.com, where I have loaded up an all-new masterclass on how to land your dream job during disruptive times. It will show you exactly the shifts that I lead my masterminders through to get them out of passive job seeking mode and into a place where they are dialoguing with the right people, senior level only. They are standing up for themselves as an expert as only they can do it. And they are locking down offers 75 to 85% on average faster than normal. And they are seeing best of outcomes and offers day in, day out, week in, week out. If that interests you, you should go over there right now, helloanish.com, sign up, take the class, and keep moving on this path to success. All right? Wishing you all the best. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.